His computer, and we're on.
Welcome to Cabomil News and Community Update in English. This is Korey Riggs with Claudia Velo. Claudia, how's it going today?
It rained today.
What?
So
what do you mean?
Yes, we're in Cabo and it rained. We're recording this on Friday afternoon and it got really cloudy and we had like 2 minutes of rain. So yeah, exciting day.
Well, it's very exciting. We have an incredible show, and obviously we record on Facebook Live, which today will be a little bit later. It'll be put on Facebook Live, and you can hear the show on Cabomil 96.3 FM on Sundays at 6 p.m. So tune in there as well. But we have a great show today, and before we get into the great show today, Claudia, I want to talk about the show next week as well, because we just confirmed Daniel Becker, who is the owner of Banca Mifel, and just an incredible person, and he's going to be on our show next week. We're going to try to keep him for the whole hour. We'll see. I told him 25 minutes. I'm hoping to reel him into the whole hour.
Perfect,
we'll
perfect. He definitely has something to tell us, and he knows so much about everything that is happening with the economy. I think it's going to be just an exciting and very informative show.
Well, and the Spanish-speaking audience has heard him several times, and he's been on Cabomil a few times.
Yep.
And I think it's very exciting for the English-speaking community to hear from this great leader. He's going to be coming to us live from Mexico City, and where he lives, but he comes to Cabo, knows a lot about Cabo, knows a lot about how it works here. And we're going to talk about the economy, kind of what's happening with COVID right now, what he sees in the future, and the interplay between the United States and Mexico. And we'll talk about a lot of differences between banking in the United States and Mexico, which I know a lot of our audience have a lot of questions about.
Yes. So
it'll be a great thing. If you're listening to this right now and you want to ask questions that we can ask Daniel, please go to Cabomil News on Facebook, put your questions in, and I promise we will get to as many as possible on the show next week.
Yes, we will post on the Facebook page at Cabomil News. We'll have a post there, and anybody who wants to ask a question related to banking in Mexico and finances and the current economic situation, you will find a place for all your questions, and we will try our best to get Mr. Becker to answer them.
It's great. So we're looking forward to that show next week. But before we get to next week's show, we have a great show this week. Something I'm truly excited about, and we invited a special friend of mine, Laura Bueno, and she, you know, when I think about it, I think about my group of friends, and Claudia, I don't want to hurt your feelings on this at all, so I don't mean this, because you're in my group of friends as well.
But a different group.
A different group, but I think about my group of friends and who is the most cultured, most intelligent, someone you can talk about anything with, and I have to say, it's our next guest, Laura Bueno. I mean, she's really someone that does research, cares about things. And we wanted to spend some time, because as our audience already knows, we have been bringing some culture to the show through some music. And one of the things that's very important, and Claudia, you and I have talked about this, people come to Cabo because they're tourists and they want to go surfing or they want to go drinking or they want to, you know, Cabo's got this reputation, but there's incredible cultural heritage here. And we really wanted to highlight that, and that's why we invited Laura to the show. Laura, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Korey. Thank you, Claudia. It's so nice to be here sharing this time with you after this lockdown, which has been long.
Yeah.
Talking to you and having some fun and probably a beer or a drink.
Yeah. Well, I can see you're sitting. If you're on Facebook Live, you should go check this out, because she's got the coolest library in town. And I can see, I mean, that library makes me want to drink whiskey. So just by looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a whiskey here, but I can show. Next time we can share whiskey together.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, Laura, you're a practicing attorney in town, and that's where I first met you, when I first was with Los Cabos Children's Foundation in 2008. And since then, you've written 3 books. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and what you're doing with these books, and just talk a little bit about yourself?
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, we met when I was pregnant, so I was really fat. But now I have exercised and you know, I have been writing books since my boys were babies. I have two boys. Now one is 15 years old and the other is 10, sorry, 12. And, and you know,
Mom, I'm 12.
Mom.
when they were born, I decided that I had to write a book for each one of them. Just for fun, because I am from Mexico City, and living in Los Cabos, as you say, Korey, it's very nice because you have the beach and the ocean, but we need to rescue our cultural heritage, and the way of doing so, writing and researching and studying. So my first book was for Javier, my son, who's 15. Probably you can see it. It's En Donde Está el Ángel, Where's the Angel? It talks about a monument that disappears in Mexico City, and my son has to go all over Mexico to search for the lost monument. So this book was published in 2010, and it is a gift for my country as like the anniversary of Mexico's independence.
And you're talking about the Ángel on Reforma, right? You're talking about...
Yes, the big monument, El Ángel de Reforma. And this book is coming out in English shortly, and so I will let you know. So the English-speaking community, I'm sure they're gonna like to read about Mexico's history. And
wow.
Nice.
So my 12-year-old son, Felipe, said, Mom, I want a book for my own. So then I was thinking about, well, a second book. Sometimes the first movie or the first book is the best. I need to do a big effort and have imagine what I could do. So this book, it's Piggy Bank Secrets, and here is Felipe. Come on,
okay.
So we'll show Felipe. It's about a piggy bank and the savings of Felipe, who's here, my son.
Oh, there he is.
Oh.
So,
it's like, okay, bye.
In this piggy bank book, the story is about Felipe's piggy bank who's saving money, and after that piggy bank is full, he has to break it, and he's so sad. So at night, all the bills are in his night table, and the main characters of the bills decide to come out of the bills to tell their biographies and their story during the night. Because as you can see, Mexican bills are changing now, and the main characters that are on the bills are not the same and will not be the same. So the characters are concerned because they're going to be taken out, evicted from the notes. So it's very interesting for the English-speaking community who handles Mexican bills to see this difference. You know, this is Benito Juarez in the 20 pesos bill.
Yeah.
And he's been promoted. He's been promoted now.
To the 500
The 500 peso bill. And he looks more handsome.
He does.
He does. He had a facelift and all this. The guys in the 500 peso note, who is Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, they're sad because they are no longer being in the notes. So the metaphor of the book is like, it doesn't matter if you are famous, if you appear in a note or not. Just be authentic, do your life, do what you like and what you enjoy, and that's it. So it's very important for you people from abroad not to confuse a $1 with a $1 with a $25, because they are the same color.
Same color.
And it's the same guy. Yeah. But he definitely has a facelift on the 500.
Yeah.
So
he's a younger version of him.
The 20 peso bill probably is going to disappear at some point, because nobody has come like the new 20 pesos main character. So,
yeah.
So Laura, I have a question before we go on, and this question is not going to be very, I don't know if it's a very smart question. I'm going to ask it anyway. So one of the things that I've always said in my radio show before, I would always say, México es el país de topes en cambio. And what I mean by that is it's the country that has topes everywhere. So that, you know, the topes are the bumps.
Yeah,
everyone can put a tope. And I say, con topes en cambio, because you can never get change anywhere. So you go into a store and you take your 500 and it's like, it's your fault for not having change. which
yeah, how dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you pay with a 500 peso bill?
But I've always wondered in your research, is there a reason why there's never change in Mexico? Is it because of the denominations? What I mean, does anybody have that answer?
You can answer that question to your guest next week, because
I will.
The bank,
okay.
So he'll know. I don't really know the answer.
I know there are companies that have people, their job is to go to the bank and get change. Yeah. And you have to be in good terms with the teller, because it's not common. You know, in the US now there's this thing about coin shortage, right?
Yeah.
And it's an issue right now. It's becoming an issue. Well, this has been a thing in Mexico for a long time. So there are
Forever.
companies for decades. And there are companies that actually have one messenger whose job, part of his tasks during the day, is to go to the bank and stand online and pray that they get the right teller, so that the right teller will say, oh yes, I have change for you. And then they can get all the change for the day. So yeah, it's an issue.
No, it's a very interesting thing, and I want to move on, because we'll ask Daniel that. Maybe we'll ask Daniel that question next week. But yeah. I'm sharing, if you're on Facebook Live, I'm sharing the books that Laura has written, and there's a third book here, Laura. I don't know if you want to touch on this, because I know it's not out yet, but it's really the reason that got us into this conversation, because I'm actually. It's kind of nerdy, but just so everybody knows, I'm in a Robinson Crusoe book club. and Laura, and I'm proud to be a nerd, by the way. I'm proud of that. And I love the people that I'm in this book club with. And Laura's actually coming to speak at this book club. And the reason why she's coming, it's coming up next week. The reason why she's coming is because she has just written a new book called Selkirk, about the real Robinson Crusoe, and that he was in Los Cabos. And I know you're going to talk just a little bit about it, Laura. So I wanted to set the table for you for that. And we'll get into some other cultural things about Los Cabos after that.
Yes, well, my third book, which is like a pregnancy, because I began writing it in January. It's going to be ready in September. So it's really 9 months.
9 months.
And
wow.
This last month, which is August, which is like editing, and it's very difficult, like any pregnancy. Just you want to have the baby born and that's it. So sometimes I just like, okay, but it has been a lot of fun. I've been busy reading. Well, it's not just a book. It's a novel. It has fiction, but I've done a lot of research, reading from the logs and from old books from the 1700s, really to rescue the cultural heritage from Los Cabos. This is not just invented. Robinson Crusoe is a fiction novel from Daniel Defoe, and it's very interesting. I just love it. As you, Korey, thanks for inviting me to your club. And we will be eating goat meat.
We are. We're going to have goat meat. Everyone has to bring something from Robinson Crusoe to eat.
So that is fiction. So I wanted to do the real thing. The guy that inspired Daniel Defoe to write Robinson Crusoe, and his name is Alexander Selkirk. He is from Scotland, and he was a sailor from the 1700s who circumnavigated the world. So actually, he was marooned in an island, and well, my history begins after his marooning and all the adventures that he had from South Pacific, Chile, which was the island where he was marooned, to Cabo San Lucas, where they were chasing Manila galleons. A lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun. So really, it's based on facts, because I have read the log of the privateers who rescued him, and many other books about history. Difficult because it's old English. The language is sometimes difficult, and the way they wrote, I had to read and read and read. They're sailors. They're not writers. So sometimes to follow a sailor, it's just like, how did he come up with this idea if he didn't even mention it before? So as good as Daniel Defoe is a writer, and probably I am a writer, they are good at sailors, but they made my COVID lockdown so much difficult to understand their language. But And now that I am almost a privateer, because not a pirate, I decided to add some fiction to the novel. And that was the most interesting thing of my book, because during these months, you have feelings, you have, you think about things, you, Korey, you do meditation and all those reflections, reflexiones, no? Meditation. So really it has a value, an added value, not just the fiction, but the real things that are happening today. Loneliness, depression, you know, well, the thing about the Black Lives Matter also is included, because we talk about slavery. Also during those the 700 trip, they had a fever in the vessel. So many things, you know, history seems to be repeating. People that do not know the history will make mistakes. So that's why it's very important to rescue our roots, to rescue our heritage, and to know where we come from, and not to say, well, I'm a wise person or I'm a nerd. No, because I like it. It's very interesting to know where you come from, as you like to know where your father came from, where your mom came from, and your grandparents. You always need that history, no? So as a citizen of Los Cabos, or even a tourist, it's very important to know that it does have much more than surfing and hiking and beach and having fun or celebrations. It has a lot of culture.
Well, and it's interesting because Daniel Defoe, I mean, he published that book, Robinson Crusoe, in 1719. And when you read that book and what you're saying now, I can't wait to read your book. But when you read Robinson Crusoe, it's amazing just the depth of what he talks about, and the same things that we're all struggling with now. He was struggling with being on that island, and it's a brilliant book. And so I highly recommend Robinson Crusoe. If you haven't read it for a while, go for it, because it's pretty astounding that he wrote that in you think about the time that he wrote that, and then to have the roots to Cabo and how it's interconnected is it's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing, and not everybody knows that the real Robinson Crusoe was here at the Medano Beach. Probably he was not drinking a margarita, but he was drinking some British punch, or I don't know, probably a Damiana drink.
Some rum, right? Something with rum.
Rum, some dram. Yeah.
Well, Laura, one of the things, the other thing, we'll be waiting for your book with bated breath. So we're all waiting for that, and you can get our signed copies of that. But there's some other things you've worked on, and we talked about is the Pearl. And can you give us, I'm just saying the Pearl, I'm setting it up for you, but if you can talk a little bit about it, what you've worked on, what you found out, and we're talking about the Pearl from La Paz.
Well, yeah, that's very interesting. Probably that will be my next book, and I have been studying and researching for 6 years about the Pearl. There's a legend that says that it was 1890 when people in La Paz found a big pearl the size of a lemon, or a lime, un limon, and
the green one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that pearl was owned by a family in La Paz that was a Rufo family. And after like a few years, that pearl was given as a gift to the King of England, and now it's actually placed on the imperial state crown of Queen Elizabeth II. However, well, that crown is used when the Parliament is open in England every month of June. The Queen wears the crown, and when a monarch is anointed and crowned. So it's really the most important crown in England. So the legend says that the pearl is in the crown. I've been to the imperial state, to the crown jewels for 3 times. I bought all the books relating to the pearls and jewels. I've been to La Paz. I've been to Archivo Histórico Pablo Martinez to review the newspapers and see because the Queen was here in 1970 something, 1980 something, and they say that Queen Elizabeth came to see where the pearl came from, the waters from the Sea of Cortez where the pearl came from. But you know, I'm an attorney and I love fiction, but I really want to find the facts. So 2 years ago, I wrote a letter to Buckingham Palace addressed to the Queen. It took me a long time to draft the letter because I was like, dear Her Royal Highness, or dear Queen Elizabeth, or dear, no, the proper language. So finally I sent it, and I got a response in like 5 months to a friend's house in England. So it says, well, dear Laura, I'm sorry we've taken so long to respond to your question. My question was like, dear Queen Elizabeth, please let me know if the pearl from your crown is really from the waters of the Sea of Cortez, because I'm a writer and I like to talk about this interesting fact. So they said, well, they were busy, their office was busy with other things, but that I could continue researching on the National Archives, which I did. So then I wrote to the archives and they said, well, you continue your research then in the jewels of the crown. I did. And they said, went to the personal jewelers. I did. Then I had a meeting with Korey Robertson. She's the UK ambassador in Mexico. We had tea last October. And
that's so awesome.
So I'm getting closer to the
truth.
To the truth. The last time before COVID began, I got a response from the jewels in England and the jewelers, and they said, from this book page, blah, 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 we don't find any evidence that about a pearl. And then they shut the office. So then my next email will be like, or probably I go and visit them and said, well, don't look on those books. We need the other one, the next one. There you'll see the truth. So finally, when I get to see if this is a legend or not, then I will be able to write this book about where is the pearl? Where is the pearl?
That's an incredible story, and I can just imagine you having tea with the ambassador to the UK or Mexico. So that's amazing. Claudia, what do you have for Laura? Anything else before we're gonna take a break in a couple minutes? But
I'm just fascinated with the whole research story thing. I look forward to the first book, Selkirk, and then the Pearl. When I heard the Pearl, I thought it was a take on Steinbeck's, which was inspired by La Paz and the Sea of Cortez and Quino and this whole thing. But Steinbeck's, of course, is more of a parable about greed and how sometimes what seems to be great wealth can also bring great tragedy into your life. But I mean, definitely, and the fact that all that area prompted all the exploration from the Spaniards, that to me is always fascinating. But the link to the British crown jewels, I think it's wonderful, and it would be really cool if it was in fact a Paseña pearl that adorns the crown. Yeah.
The crown jewels. No, that's.
I hope you find out and let us know, Laura.
Hopefully, I do find out before that Queen passes away. That's my main goal. But
yeah.
She's a little.
Well, I want you to get into the room with the Queen and have tea with her. That's what I'm rooting for, Laura.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And anybody that can do it, I know you can. Laura, how can people get a hold of you? Because I know you do a lot of things. You have a website, correct? We'll put it on the Facebook Live chat.
Yes, I have a website, not my office website, because Bufete Troncoso is being an attorney. This is being me. It's allaboutwords.net.
Okay.
And I'm showing that I'm a translator, an official translator in the state, English, Spanish languages, and then I do other type of hobbies. They're hobbies, but they're really services of drafting, proofreading, or if you need an English teacher or Spanish teacher or drafting lesson or whatever for students or people or learning Spanish or talking about culture, I'm always offering any service there. My books are offered there. You can get my books, send me an email, I can ship them. one of the books is in Gandhi. Gandhi is like the Barnes and Noble, but in Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico. Yeah.
I have a link there. You can buy it. And the Selkirk book will be published in English and Spanish. It's for adults. My first two books are for, well, not only children, but families and parents that really get these questions from the children like that. Who was Benito Juarez? And well, so his dad goes and check it out. Oh, yes, he was. Also, many times we forget the dates and all this. So it's for families, but the Selkirk book is for, well, probably from 16 years old and older, or adults.
That's great.
And that book, I thought about the English-speaking community because they really like reading. They enjoy culture as much as they enjoy having fun. You know? So I think the Selkirk book will be sold at Gandhi and in each one of the hotels in Los Cabos.
Oh, that's great.
And finally, I'm doing a script, you say movie script for the book. So probably we can have a movie. After.
Wow, like Master and Commander. That's what I want to see.
That'd be great. We do need to take a commercial break now.
Yeah, we'll come back. Stay there, Laura. We'll come back in a second. Take a short break.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Cabomil News and Community Update.